All right, Larry, it's to go through, cover a little bit about zoning, and I can answer some questions if there are some, if if I'm able to answer them, I guess, without any research. Um, we can have a little discussion about zoning, I guess, if there's some questions and go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Jamie, I've opened it up. You should be able to share your screen.
All right. All right, did that work?
Will you see your screen, Jamie?
Perfect. All right, hey guys, I'm Jayme Tenneson. Guy that took over for Tom Lowe. I'm from Sutton, North Dakota. I apologize, I'm a little disheveled. I just like I told Larry, I just got out of the field. And it was a tough windy day out there today. So I was just gonna talk with you a little bit, I guess, about zoning here. On today's Township Tuesday. Just kind of a rough go through of it. I know there will probably be a lot of questions, and that's fine. Um, I'll answer what I can, and we'll have you email me any if you have any, I guess, in the future. The reason I decided to talk about zoning, I'm sure you've all seen in the news. There's been some stuff going on out in Oliver County with another data center. I've seen some stuff going on possibly in Barnes County about another data center. Of course, we've got the Ellendale and Cass County ones. So, or Enderle, or yeah, Ellendale and the Cass County ones. So I just figured we'd talk quickly about zoning, and I know there's a lot of townships that don't zone, and leave it up to their counties, but it appears now that this is something that is important and we need to take a look at so we're not left behind. So I guess I would encourage every township at least to have a discussion of whether or not they want to have a comprehensive plan and zoning and making sure that any future developments in your townships are done appropriately and done so you protect yourselves and your neighbors. Of course, I have to give this disclosure every time I speak with you guys. It's just for the information I give you is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice, or create an attorney-client relationship. So I am not anybody's attorney here, other than the actual board of the Township Officers Association. If you do have questions, I do recommend consulting with your qualified attorney on any of these legal matters. So we'll just give you a general rundown of townships of chapter 5803 that gives townships the authority to zone. Um, but along with zoning, you have to have a comprehensive plan with a reasonable consideration of your district, your suitability for the uses, the plan ship, occupations, industries, and land uses within the area, along with traffic. And the comprehensive plan and zoning is all designed to encourage orderly growth. So you don't have things set in the middle of someplace that they shouldn't be. Your comprehensive plan should have goals, objectives, policies, and standards for your jurisdiction. Um, so in my research, there's a township that I've gone and taken a look at their zoning regulations and their comprehensive plan. And it's kind of one I cheat off all the time after I found it, and that's Gill Township in Cass County. I think if you wanted to look at a good comprehensive plan and some guidance for some zoning, I think taking a look at Gill Township is a great place to look at. So again, we'll talk about a comprehensive plan and what a comprehensive plan does. Um, that's the guide. It's your guidance rather than, I guess, your zoning regulations are based off of your comprehensive plan. It's where you want to see your community be in the future. Um, so if you think that you're going to have more residential areas, you plan where you want your residential areas, you plan what you want them to look like. Um, and you plan your infrastructure around what you want things to look like, whether it's you have residential where you need arterial roadways, or you are planning to just be agriculture or have some industrial. That's all going to be in your comprehensive plan. It gives not only the citizens of the township the ability to see the direction that the township's going to head in, but it also you, you can let the industry know and developers know what they can and can't do in that township. Now here's for some of you townships who have never considered zoning, um, or don't have zoning or have given the zoning to the county. Um, so if you've never zoned before, why would you want to do it now? Um, and it's a pretty easy question. We have developers in North Dakota that clearly may change the landscape of your township, whether that be a data center. There's a lot of talk nationally of data centers, a lot of talk nationally of solar farms, large batteries being put along transmission lines, wind farms, pipelines, and of course, residents are moving out of the cities. I guess I have a story that I learned out of Tennessee. Actually, I have a guy that's supposed to be coming to work for me on the farm this week from Tennessee. He's moving from a rural area from between Chattanooga and Knoxville, I believe it is. Um, they're seeing an influx of Californians, and the farmer that he was actually working for lost a bunch of land that it was farming. It was sold for development. So, um, I guess at some point it could happen in North Dakota. We'll hope the cold weather keeps a mass inflow of people out, but it could happen because it's been happening in Idaho, Montana, Texas, Tennessee is the latest one. North Dakota could be on that list at some point too. So, whoops, I'm sorry here. So we can talk a little bit about establishment of zoning districts. 580311 is a section of the Century Code that specifically gives townships the authority to zone. And I guess take a look at that if you're interested in zoning for your county. 580311 is the governance. Again, zoning townships are able to zone. A lot of townships have in the past relinquished zoning authority back to the county. The township actually can take that zoning authority back from the county. There is a process that needs to be followed, but you can reacquire zoning authority. Again, I think actually in Cass County, I don't believe that there's any county zoning. I think that every township has township zoning. So why should townships consider adopting a zoning ordinances? It'll give townships the authority and the right to control what happens in their jurisdiction. We always talk and we always preach about local form of government and keeping everything local. And townships, of course, are the most local form of government. This has the most direct effect on everyone's property within the township. Another reason is that you, as the residents of the township, you know what you want in your township. You know who you want as your neighbors, or you know how close you want your neighbors. You're able to have the greatest impact when zoning is within the township to make that determination. And finally, it gives you the power to dictate the future of your township. So one of the things I think that is probably pretty important to talk about, and you've probably heard this term
Apparently that plant that your sister gave us, I took down
quite
to this
frequently.
pond, keeping it alive. But apparently it's supposed to be
would be
planted
talking
outside.
about moratoriums. Moratoriums are a short
I don't know if they can hear me or not.
time where
I don't know
really-
if they can hear me.
I guess it's aimed at a specific specific subjects. So it would be a brief time where you prohibit development of a particular industry. For instance,
Yeah.
whoever is not muted, could you please mute yourself? A moratorium would be, I guess, towards wind
I'll take a
towers.
shower too tonight. Yeah, I'll do that.
Moratorium would be towards wind
I fell
towers.
asleep this morning after I'd taken Carter to school and stuff.
Whoever isn't muted yet, could you please mute yourself? We're all catching your conversation. So back to moratoriums. Moratoriums, you can have a moratorium for data center, wind tower, solar batteries, that sort of thing. They're a stop of development for a specific period of time, typically 180 days to 1 year. That gives you as the township to get your zoning under control, whether that be to do research so you can come up with the latest or zoning ordinances, or to make sure that you put your zoning ordinances together. You may not have any zoning ordinances for this specific industry. So you do have the ability to do moratoriums. I will say that there is no section of the North Dakota Century Code that allows for moratoriums, and I don't believe that there's actually any courts or any cases that have been addressed in court regarding them. They typically have to be towards a narrow subject to it of which the moratorium applies. Like I said, when I guess currently we actually in Griggs County, where I'm state's attorney, we just put a moratorium on the development of wind farms, data centers, batteries, and solar development. We're doing it for 180 days until we can put zoning back in place. 180 days, I think, is probably the safest time period. I think you probably could safely do it up to a year. But if you do it beyond that, I think that you're going to have some problems with the court. And I don't think that the court's going to find that that moratorium is reasonable. Also within the text of the moratorium, you should have an explanation of how the moratorium would address and direct immediate public health, safety, and general welfare issues. A finding of fact that would support the public health finding or safety and welfare threat. And you should have a specific starting date and any ending date, and anything else if you were to consult with your attorney that they believe would be important to convey. That's my, I guess, a short topic or a short presentation on it. I think the best thing for you guys to do is, if you have questions, shoot me an email with questions. We are working, there's currently a work group that's working on a model set of ordinances for zoning for a data center. That work group is continuing to work. I would guess within the next few months, we'll have a set of model ordinances that everybody can have. The Association of Counties is working on that. The League of Cities. There are some people from the industry that are working on it as well, and other groups within North Dakota that are trying to protect the citizens. Does anybody have any questions just regarding this short presentation?
Well, I just posted a question on there. Can you put a moratorium in place if you don't have a comprehensive plan or zoning in place yet?
I think you can. I think that's what you do is just say that you need to focus on the comprehensive plan, as well as the ordinances for the specific industries that you don't want development. And I do believe that you can do that. in fact, I guess if it is tested in Griggs County, that's what we did. We don't have a comprehensive plan. As the county, we don't have any zoning regulations. In about 2013, the county handed all the zoning regulations off to the townships. But at this point, I think there's just a general concern about what we could have in the county and what would happen if there wasn't any zoning in place.
Hey, I have a question. This is Levi Rue. In a township, I'm in Eddy County,
Okay.
and in Eddy County, they basically wanted all the townships to sign over floodplain and zoning to the county. A lot of townships signed it over to the county. Our township is one that never did. If we never signed it over to the county, that kind of tells me we don't have to request it back. So would we be able to put a moratorium on things without, I mean, or could you put a moratorium on while you're working on requesting it back and getting your zoning and your comprehensive plan up to date? Like, the county's, for example, is from 1995. It's 31 years old, and they don't even mention energy development in their comprehensive plan. So, I mean, it's almost like they're behind on the times too, and seeing they're behind on the times, we feel that we know our 36 square miles better than they did.
Right. And I think that yeah, if you did not give your write up to zoning, I don't see why you don't have it, Levi.
Okay.
Also, it would be my position that while you're developing a comprehensive plan and zoning regulations, that you should be able to have a moratorium in place for any energy development.
So this brings up a little bit more of a question. So in Eddy County, there's actually a proposed wind project for this area, and our township would be one of those affected. And so we never gave our zoning to the county. We basically took the county zoning, changed it for the township, you know. Nobody's zoning is an original document, I wouldn't think. Everybody plagiarizes somebody down the road that they think is smart. We really modeled it after the county with a couple changes to further setbacks from people's homes and from churches and cemeteries and stuff like that to respect what's out here. And the developer actually submitted a permit application to our township last fall and wanted it heard. And then an hour and 20 minutes before we were going to have the public hearing on the application, because in Century Code, I think or in our zoning, you had to hold a hearing within 45 days of receiving the application and then render a decision within 30 days. Their application didn't fit in our zoning. And now they're saying, well, you guys don't have a comprehensive plan, so really your zoning would revert to the county. Well, when they paid the permit fee and wanted us to hear it, it's kind of like they acknowledged we had zoning. So, I mean, we're kind of in a goofy spot right now.
Yeah, I would say so. Levi, why don't I have you email me and see if I can help you guys out with some on that.
Okay.
Hey, can you throw, this is David Fight. I'm actually in the township right next to Levi's, and we're kind of in the same boat.
Okay.
But our difference is that we posted our meeting minutes out there to update our comprehensive plan. And we posted that up for the last year or so. And they've turned around and just like Levi said, you know, now we're getting letters out here that they don't recognize our comprehensive plan, or state's attorney doesn't. But yet for 2 years, we put in they sent us stuff for the city landfill that's in our township, the Met Towers, everything out there went through our zoning. They never had an issue until just now after they changed 14 pages of county zoning for the wind farm. And we're both townships are sitting in the same kind of boat right here with having our comprehensive plans thrown out by the state's attorney. if that makes sense at all.
Okay, I'll have to do some research. Why don't you guys email me? Um, I guess email me the documents that you've received and a little bit of information, a little bit of background, and I can try to do some research and get back in touch with you guys.
Yeah, I can do that. Thank you very much.
Yep. Any
Will
other
do.
questions from anybody?
I guess I had one. I understand that South Dakota passed a law this spring which gives local control of data center siting to the townships. And if the township is not zoned to the counties, perhaps this is something we could model next year in the session. If it passed in South Dakota, maybe we could get it in North Dakota.
Yeah, I guess we could do some research on it and see what we can do. I do know that I guess the experience that we've had with the legislator is that the legislator appears that they're pro-development in what's been going on with some of the issues with transmission lines. But it's something that I think we can definitely talk about and work on.
And data centers are such a hot potato right now, they might actually give it up. Meaning the state.
I don't know, the legislature is very pro-development. I'm afraid they would not receive such a bill very well.
Well, I guess now would be the time to at least, and you guys can do this as well. And I would actually recommend that you do that. If it's something that you're passionate about or something that you have interest or think will benefit us, that you speak with your respective legislators and see if it's something that they would be interested in signing on to. Any other questions? And Matt, I read your comment. I do agree.
Jayme, this is a full. I have a lot going on in Free Township. But, I can't.
I'm sorry, whoever the last person was, I was unable to hear you.
Jayme,
Yep.
can you hear me?
We can't make out what you're saying.
You're breaking up. If you, I don't think we're going to be able to hear you. If you just want to email me your question, I can try to answer it. Any other questions about zoning?
This is Ross. I have a question about the zoning ordinance versus a comprehensive plan. What's the difference? Do you need both, or is it all in one thing?
So your comprehensive plan is they're different. They're two different things. A comprehensive plan is the plan that you want for your county. So it or for your township, I'm sorry. It doesn't contain your zoning ordinances. It is the plan or where you see your county going in your township going in the future. So whether you want to cite residential areas, whether you want to focus on energy development or focus on ag or industrial development. That's what your comprehensive plan does, and your ordinances should follow what your comprehensive plan is. I guess the best example I can give it would be your strategic plan for your township.
I guess my explanation of the comprehensive plan is that's the reason we are zoning.
And that's exactly right, Larry.
And the court will want to know the reason that you zoned.
So another thing that the legislator has addressed, and this is a problem that we had in the last session, the legislator and the courts aren't going to take kindly on someone creating zoning that is essentially going to zone an industry out of your township. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't do whatever or have setbacks so you protect yourselves and protect your roads, but you can't make it so difficult that that industry can't come into your township. Karen, I do see one question from you too, and I apologize, I didn't see it earlier. Your township zoned all ag. Do you have to do anything to prevent commercial ag or other type of farm or wind farms? So, like I just said, you can't really prevent anything. You can't keep anything essentially out of your township. You can protect yourselves, protect the comprehensive plan of the township. Large confined animal farms, that is covered by, I think, Larry, is it the health department or is it the Department of Ag?
Animal agriculture, that's under the DEQ.
Okay. So they are governed by the Department of Environmental Quality. Wind farms, that would require zoning. There are quite a bit of, I mean, the wind farms have been around for 25, 30 years around our areas, I guess, or in the state. So there are quite a few counties and townships that have specific wind farm ordinances. They're quite comprehensive to the setback, that sort of thing. So yeah, you do need to have zoning for wind farms.
Like, we've talked, I mean, the township has talked about this, and nobody wants the large animal confinement stuff. Nobody wants a data center. You know, we never really talked about wind farms because we are close to the refuge. So I don't know if that would even work to have big wind farms because of the flyaway zones on the refuge. But, you know, just some of these other stuff, you know, nobody wants the data center. Nobody wants the animal confinement stuff. And it's like, if somebody would want to come in and buy up like entire farms, you know, it's like, you don't, like, for example, I do not have anybody, you know, any children to turn the farm over to. So would somebody come in and buy my farm to make a big data center, for example? My neighbors don't want that. You know, that's, I guess, what we're kind of wondering, if we really need to do anything, or, you know, we're just not sure where we should go as a township board. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So like, I mean, I think you have to start having the conversation.
Protein drink.
Whether that means you want, I mean, I think the first step you have to do is make sure that your township board wants to have zoning, and then you have to start deciding. You have to go through and develop a comprehensive plan, and then look at what you want to do to zone. to follow that comprehensive plan.
Well, I mean, we do have some zoning laws, but they're from like early 80s, I think it was. So they're, and it's basically just says everything has to be ag.
What's that? Real clear.
First of all, Karen,
She
you want to
hasn't
take a
really
look at
said
your
much.
comprehensive plan,
Farm machine and bus.
and
Her and
maybe
Karen
your
are
comprehensive
roommates, I
plan.
think.
Maybe you don't have one, or maybe your comprehensive plan needs to be updated. But I think that's the first thing that you need to do, and from that point, then take a look at what you want in your township, and that should be what your zoning ordinances control.
Okay. I do not believe that we have a comprehensive plan at all. It's just that we have the zoning from, like I said, I think it's the early 80s. It just says it has to be ag within the township.
Okay. Yeah, what you're gonna want to do is look at developing a comprehensive plan, and from there, developing your zoning ordinances that are gonna follow that plan.
So like when you're saying that, I mean, you need the like setbacks and stuff, that's where it would be in the comprehensive plan to maybe say, okay, you have to be set back so far, and then that's going to make it so that they can't get enough land. Is that basically what you're saying?
No, I'm not. I'm not telling you to make the set. Well, first of all, the setbacks would be in your zoning and not in the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
But you like I said before, you cannot make your setbacks so it essentially zones something out of your township. That's probably gonna get some action in the legislature if that's done that way, or some action in the courts.
But if you have it zoned ag, could a data center come in?
Again, you can't essentially zone something out of your township.
Okay.
Jayme, this is Levi Rue again. So, in Eddy County and in Granfield Township, like Eddy County as a whole, and when Granfield Township, we basically took the county's zoning, and it says in there, everything in the county is zoned agricultural. And then when you go into the zoning document and you'll look, and there'll be what is permitted and then conditionally permitted. So permitted, they would already get to do that. They wouldn't need to get a conditional use permit or anything.
Right.
I mean, single family homes, schools, churches, cemeteries, agriculture, that type of stuff is already permitted. And then you would have like what is considered conditionally permitted. And then for that, you would have to go in and get a conditional use permit, and the zoning board may attach some conditions to that permit, like it's valid for a
Right.
certain amount of time. And
Yep.
and for these people that are wondering, okay, so get back to like where we have been, this wind developer submitted a application, a permit application to the counties, the townships. Well, wind energy conversion facilities, or an energy conversion facility at that, was never mentioned in agricultural land as permitted and conditionally permitted. So that's what kind of stalled their permit out in Eddy County back in December. And and then in the zoning, I mean, everything here is considered agriculture, and everybody can agree on that. But then you'll have different zones that you can do different things. And zoning isn't a dead document. I mean, it's meant to be amended and changed and whatever. I mean, it has that openness to it so it can adapt.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. And then in the further reading, and if you read through more of Eddy County zoning, I mean, you had like commercial, industrial, residential, whatever. The only place that it mentioned an energy conversion facility was in industrial land. So then, we said, hey, we don't want 35,000 acres of industrially zoned land, because then look at all these other things that can be done out here, and it inhibits agriculture. So then the developer and everybody, like, it's okay, do you add wind energy as a conditionally permitted use in ag land? And we've been in this, I don't want to say fight, but battle or back and forth, like how does wind fit in ag land, and the developer that wants to do this wants to have it just permitted in ag land because they said this wind energy section in zoning was attached at the end. Well, we said it doesn't fit anywhere, so that was the basis of the townships basically not approving their permit back in December.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's in Eddy County, this whole thing is a very talked about topic, I guess. So
Well, I've talked to a couple township members from Eddy County, and I've kind of followed a little bit as well as being the state's attorney. So, yeah, and I think maybe a little bit off topic, but I think this is Eddy County and Oliver County are really good examples of what kind of trouble could happen by kind of not paying attention to what's going on or not changing your comprehensive plan with the changing times or not changing your ordinances. I guess kind of what I've seen now being out on county tours with the Association of Counties and being on tours with the townships. The western edge of the state and oil country and eastern edge of the state, they are far ahead of us, I guess, in zoning because they've had the development, whether it being from oil and gas or the number of people and what's going on in the eastern part of the state, I guess, with people moving in there. So up the gut of the state, we've primarily been an ag area, and we just don't have the zoning regulations that they do or the experience with the zoning regulations that they do on the two opposite ends of the state.
okay, so I got one more question for you, Jayme, and then I'll let everybody else ask theirs. So the county right now, Eddy County and some of the townships are at odds. The townships are saying, no, we want to either take our zoning back, or we had zoning and they're saying, well, you didn't do the comprehensive plan, so no, you don't. And we're saying, well, okay, then we'll do a comprehensive plan, we'll get it up to date, whatever. But the county, as I mentioned, is from 1995, and it only mentions two things: animal feeding operations and solid waste disposal. And the county just did basically 14 pages worth of amendments to their zoning. And not all of them were to do with energy development, but a lot of them were to do with energy development. They probably should have had a better, roadmap for how they're doing zoning. They probably should have been updating that along the course before they just did all those changes, because they really didn't have anything to guide those decisions, I suppose, if your comprehensive plan should be your roadmap for how you do zoning.
Yeah, really, that you're right. And I guess I know Ashley, the state's attorney, a little bit, so I'm going to ask her for some information on this too, and see if I can get a finger on what's going on. I will probably caution you that I probably won't get anything done in the next couple of weeks, as I also farm. So I hope to be able to delve into this a little bit.
Oh,
in the next few weeks.
That's just fine, and I appreciate the meeting and the people that put time into having this tonight.
Any other questions from anybody?
So I think this is Chris Carlgard, Black Loam Township. You had mentioned something earlier about you can't just just take wind, for example. You can't just prohibit wind. Or did I misunderstand you on that?
No, that's exactly what I said. What we've been learning, like I said, the legislator I think if a number of townships do that, I think the legislator will get involved and probably take our ability to zone specific industries away from us, because the legislator in the last session showed that they are pro-development. Larry's right about that. For instance, I don't remember I think it was 2170 has to deal with transmission lines, and that was a township down by Edgeley that that would not grant the conditional use permit for transmission line. And because of that, the legislator got involved, and now the PSC, I believe it is, governs all the siting of transmission lines. And that was taken away from townships. So my concern is that if the zoning ordinances are too restrictive, that the state will get involved, whether the industry sues the township and the courts get involved, or someone runs to the legislator and the legislator will get involved.
So if you put in there 3-mile setbacks, I mean, the only way, is that any different? Is that
No, and I think that's the exact same thing. I think that'll end up getting the legislator involved or the courts involved, saying it's unreasonable. Any other questions from anybody? If not, I'll let Larry take the controls of the show back.
can I ask one more thing? So if you're saying that you can't prohibit wind and you can't put in a 3-mile setback, then essentially what's the point of putting zoning in place if you're trying to prohibit wind or whatever the entity is?
Well, and that's kind of my point is that the legislator and the courts aren't going to allow you to prohibit development in your township. Zoning is designed to protect your property interests, and the safety and well-being of the community. So with that said, I think that, for instance, wind towers, I think the standard for setbacks is like 2,100 feet, 2,400 feet, something like that. But it's not specifically to prohibit industry from your township. It's to make sure that development follows your comprehensive plan and protects the landowners. That doesn't mean I necessarily agree with it, but that's kind of the position that the legislator and courts have put us in.
Well, I
Jayme?
think somebody made a comment here before, just because we don't agree with it doesn't mean we have to abide by, abide or, I don't know. I don't. What's the point if we don't make a stand, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, and Matt does make a comment. There are a number of counties and townships that do have the setbacks for wind towers. It's good until someone challenges it. So I can't advise you guys to do something that I know that's probably not going to hold up in court or the legislature is going to overturn. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to necessarily follow my advice. But with that said, you might run into legal problems along the way. And I guess, like I said, Chris, I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's just the way that the legislator has written the law. And I can't advise anybody not to follow it.
No, I get that, and I appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
Jayme, this is David from New Rockford. So on our zoning, what we've done out here is we've went with a 1-mile setback with a variance. And actually, Wells County took it up. 2 townships did. And actually, even the developer says they can work with a 1-mile setback with a variance. But I don't know why you couldn't go with a 2-mile setback with that same variance. And all that is doing is giving the small landowner that doesn't, non-participant, the ability to get paid for his land rights too, as they destroy his land value, his homestead values. At least that way he has a chance to make up for it. And the state law, what the state law is right now is 3 times the blade height setback from the center of your house, which does, and you still end up with encroachment.
And a 2 mile one might be doable. A 3 mile setback, just a strict 3 mile setback, that would prohibit anybody from being within a township.
Yeah. And when another township went with that, they wanted to go with the 3 miles, and we figured, well, no, because that'd be saying you can't have one in there, so they went with the 2 mile with the variance.
And that may, I don't know. I guess I've never seen it and I've never seen one challenged, so I don't know. Maybe it would be okay. But I guess what I'm saying is that you can't essentially zone them out of your township, or you're probably going to end up running into trouble.
Jayme, this is Barb here. I'm wondering what your response is to the question, if a company meets all the zoning regulations and the residents do not want the project, can the board deny the permit without fear of a lawsuit?
I saw your question. My initial thought is no. But I wanted to do a little bit more research on that one. And the reason being is that if they've met all the criteria for their industry within the township, I don't know why a township would deny them. I understand that the citizens don't want it. But I don't know. I don't know if I would feel comfortable advising someone to do that.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions out there? I was just going
Tom
to
Button here.
Yes, Tom.
For Chris, in our area, we implemented a reverse setback for non-participating landowners. That made it a little more difficult for the wind towers also. Being that there is no setback from property lines from a non-participating landowner, we decided that they should have rights also and not be intruded on by putting a tower right next to the fence line. So we implemented the same rule as the setback from the roads, from a house, and from the property lines of a non-participating. If that'll help you at all, something to look into.
Did you notice down in Delta, Far East 20-acre pasture?
Yeah.
So ended up down there.
Yeah, it seemed like that's where they should have gone with grass. And it's like if they would if
Do
we
you
could
have
keep
a
them- this
do you have a
area,
question for the
there's a
group?
lot last year's grass.
Larry, I think I'll turn it over to you. If anybody has any other questions, just shoot me an email and I'll try to get back to you as quick as possible.
Yeah, okay. Anybody want to bring another question up here? Well, I got one on a
We can't hear you.
Anybody have any questions on any other topics tonight?
Larry, I'm still here too.
Okay. We had one question that came in to me today. We have a township in Wells County that has a large lake, whatever you want to call it, some 500 acres, whatever.
Larry, I can't quite hear you again.
This better?
You're awfully muted.
How about now?
That's better, Larry.
Okay. We have a township in Wells County. They've got a large slough or small lake, some 500 acres, whatever. And there's a road that runs along, and the water the last few years has been coming up on the side of the road, so they've had to riprap it. And there is an intersection down there, so you have a road that goes into the lake. Okay, the person is upset about the riprap because of the rocks on it. He can't use that road to back his boat in. So he's claiming that it's a violation of 2406-28 to obstruct the road with riprap. And the township is wondering if they can just close that road, put up a road closed sign on that intersection, and then be able to leave the riprap in place and save the road that passes by the side of the lake. What do you think of that, Jayme?
All I can do is smile at that one, I guess. Let me think of that one, about that one, Larry.
Well, I told them that I thought that the township board could close the road for safety reasons, put up a road closed sign right in the middle of that road that intersects, and be rid of the road on. They don't want to go through the abandonment of the right of way because the water may fall again if it quits raining long enough.
Well, I actually think the township has the right to put the riprap in there, and with the authority of the township, I would say that they could obstruct the roadway with the riprap too. I don't think I would consider riprap an obstruction on a roadway, I guess.
Well, this individual is kind of persistent and speaks with some authority at another level. So, I believe they can do it either way. Either just riprap it and say that's the way it is, or put a sign up that says that's not a road anymore.
Yeah, I agree. If they just want to get rid of the trouble, I think they can just close the road.
All right. So, any other questions? Any other topics out there this evening?
Well, as long as you're talking about roads, I have a party north of Crystal Springs. His road has been closed for over a year, flooded out. And the township and the county refused to get him any other way out. So he's been driving a section line without any snow removal, no gravel, no blading, nothing for over a year now. They're just finally starting to talk. This is the way I understand it, about a 2.5 mile stretch.
Tom, I think I know the one you're talking about. I've spoken with the guy too.
Okay.
And I have done some research on this one.
Yellow plate. Yeah.
I think he's able to petition that township to fix that road. And I'll see if I can find that section of code again and get back to you within the next week.
I know the last time I talked to him here a week ago, or this last week, they were trying to acquire some land adjacent to the lake area for a different road. But the question I have, if the road is flooded out and it's not going to come back, wouldn't FEMA try to help with this section line just so the guy's got a access to his place, access to get away from his place? You know, he's got no 911 right at the moment. I take that back. He did finally get the section line on the 911, so rescue knows how to get to his place.
You know, I think this one is a kind of a difficult situation. I went as far as even talking to one of the county commissioners in Stutzman County about this one. And I think he needs to go through the petition process to be able to get something done, I think. I know the county has sympathy for him, I guess. I'm not exactly sure why the township hasn't done anything, but I do think that I did do some research on it, and I'll get the information to you.
Okay.
Yeah, can I butt in here?
Sure.
Can you guys hear me? This is Lucas Wald from Edgeley, North Dakota. I'm kind of on with the landowners on the lawsuit against Ottertail MDU, JetX line. Just some comments, good information you guys are sharing. But one thing we got to do is we got to quit being scared of what these people are. We all got to get our backbones back, and we're supposed to, you know, protect our citizens, our resident landowners, our communities. And I know you got to do that through zoning, comprehensive plans, but we got to quit worrying about these setbacks and what people are going to do to us. These are our people, our communities. And like I said, we got to get our backbones back and, you know, go after some of this stuff. They're always telling us what we can and cannot do. We are the citizens of North Dakota. It's time we kind of start sharing what we want done. It seems like everybody skirts around these setbacks and, oh, well, we're going to hear about it in the legislature. And, well, we got to start showing up at the legislature and getting these things changed and getting these people voted out. So I'm tired of people telling us what we can and cannot do, what setbacks we can, what we can't do. These are our communities, and we got to protect our neighbors and people here. I understand that there's people that want this or want that. Well, that's what you got a variance for. You do your setbacks to what you feel you're comfortable with, and then you do a variance. If a neighbor, you can't tell your neighbor he can't have a wind tower, and he can't tell you have to have one. Well, maybe you can make an agreement with a variance and make that work. But I guess I hear this all across the state where you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, yeah, maybe the chips won't fall the way you want them to, but it's time we stand up for ourselves. I just kind of, I know there's laws to follow, and well, you can't have that setback because, well, that we can't even come through. Well, JetX wants a 500-foot setback for a 4,000 megawatt power line coming through. Those date back, the state setback is back to 1983. Well, that's what polls did we have in 1983? I mean, all we had around here were 30-foot stick poles. Now they want these 150, 180-foot tall towers and 4,000 megawatts electricity running through them. So I don't think it's very unreasonable to make it as far away as you can from any residence. So I guess my comment is, I understand everybody, we got to work together and we have to have common ground and, you know, thoughtful zoning, comprehensive plans, but it's time for us to get a spine and not necessarily worry what they're going to do to us or what they're not going to do to us. And that's about it. That was my spiel. I'm just getting sick of what we can and cannot do. So that's kind of my take on it. But all right, my rant is finished. So anybody can comment on that, I guess.
I hear you, Lucas. Maybe as part of these, we could spend a little bit of time highlighting some things that have worked, some positives. Some comprehensive or some examples of conditional use permits that either have worked with good conditions or where things have been turned down and that's worked out also.
Yeah, well, we just got to be, a little more, get our backbones back, you know, just because they're threatening, we can't do this, can't do that. Well, I've already been told a lot of stuff in the last year and a half, and I've done 80% of them that they told me I couldn't do. So they use scare tactics, they lie, and it's just, you know, we just need to, as North Dakota residents, landowners, community members, neighbors, we got to get our spines back and kind of go after some of this stuff. So they're coming to us. We're not coming to them to bring it in. So our legislator might be, but not us citizens here and landowners. So, but I'm going to mute myself out and finish listening to you guys. You guys got a lot of good stuff.
Yes, there has been a lot of good stuff here this evening. Any more questions on this or any other topics? Well, I guess we've used up an hour. If everybody's done, we'll say thank you for joining us tonight. Still a chance for somebody to bring another question. We'll try to help you out.
So I don't know how often you guys do this. I'm never gotten an email for this. Another officer forwarded on to me. That's the only reason I got on here. So do I need to give my email address to someone or how does that work?
Yes, email Larry at NDTOA.com.
Thank you.
Be glad to add you. If you know of somebody else that should be getting the notices, can give me their email addresses too, and I'll gladly add them in. Well, if there are no more questions or comments, I'll say thank you very much for joining us tonight. Made for a very interesting program, and I hope you feel that you have gotten some value out of this evening. So,
thank you, Larry.